Okay, so we are watching something pretty remarkable unfold in Hollywood right now. It's like a masterclass in strategic backpedaling.
Definitely. You have this huge rom-com marketing campaign, maybe one of the biggest in years, built completely on this undeniable chemistry, this Fauxmance.
Right. And now, one of the stars is trying to basically erase it.
Hmm.
Just last month, October 2025, Sydney Sweeney came out and essentially disavowed the whole anyone but you romance rumor mill.
Yeah, she said, and this is a direct quote, there was no leaning in per se, and then kind of blamed the press for it all.
Which is interesting because that directly contradicts her own co-star, Glen Powell. He'd previously said pretty clearly that they just have to lean into it a bit, and it worked wonderfully.
Uh-huh. That's the sound of damage control kicking into high gear. Seriously, this is like watching Celebrity Crisis Management 101. They're trying to, well, launder this incredibly successful campaign that's maybe become a bit toxic.
Welcome to Scarscope Report. We're the place where we break down all the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups, influencer scandals.
Yeah.
We dive into the real stories behind those headlines you see everywhere.
And today, yeah, we're digging into this anyone but you situation. We're looking at the real cost of that, what, $100 million success, and uncovering maybe some surprising corporate reasons for this sudden, kind of hard to believe narrative shift.
Our mission here is to figure out why rewriting recent history seems to be like the necessary first step to launching a big movie franchise right now.
Okay, so let's start with the denial itself. Sweeney dropped this during a big Variety interview, right? Promoting her new movie, Christie One.
Yeah, and what really jumps out is how hard she went on blaming everyone else. Like, truly, the tabloids and journalists just created it and kept going.
It's exactly, shifting the blame. But the really clever part, the key phrase, is that little addition, per se. There was no leaning in, per se. That qualifier does all the heavy lifting for them.
It really does. It sounds almost legalistic, you know?
Yeah.
Like saying, okay, maybe the actions happened, the things you all saw, but we didn't intend for it to look that way. It lets her deny the strategy without denying the documented facts.
And that opens the door for the new story, the safe story. Now it's all about deep professional respect and, just being good friends.
She said people just truly saw a really beautiful pairing, which is vague enough to work, I guess. It satisfies the shippers in the studio needing a clean slate.
But okay, if the campaign was such a massive hit, I mean, the movie made a ton of money, why risk this denial? It seems so easy to pick apart. What's the big corporate push behind this cleanup?
Ah, well, that's the million-dollar question, or maybe the multi-million-dollar question. It's the sequel.
Right. In that same Variety interview, she made it super clear they're interested in doing another one. Said she and Powell are always open to it, ready to jump in hand when the script is right.
So you can't really build a whole franchise on a messy public scandal, especially one with, like, real human fallout.
Yeah.
This denial, this rewrite, it's basically prepping the ground for anyone but you two.
It makes total sense from a business perspective. But here's the thing that feels off. If the original strategy worked so well, and like you said, Glen Powell admitted it worked wonderfully back in April 2024, why ditch it now? Isn't the risk of getting caught in this kind of clumsy denial worse than just owning the chaos?
That's a good point. It feels like a gamble.
It's a calculation, I think. It's about brand management, long-term sustainability. Remember, Powell's comments to the New York Times didn't just confirm the strategy. He actually credited Sweeney, called her very smart, positioned her as this, like, savvy architect.
Okay, yeah, remember that.
And while that might have worked for his image, maybe as this, like, sophisticated Hollywood player, it doesn't quite fit Sweeney's current brand. She's leaning more into this authentic artist, serious actress thing now. Being seen as a cynical marketing mastermind doesn't really align.
And we definitely can't ignore what Sweeney herself said back in August 2023, right in the thick of it. When someone asked about the rumors, she was pretty blunt. They want it. It's fun to give it to them.
Yeah, that's pretty unambiguous, isn't it? Directly confirms she was willingly playing into the speculation she now says journalists just created. Hard to reconcile those two statements.
It really is.
Yeah.
And then there's the biggest piece of evidence, the one everyone saw.
The SNL monologue, March 2024.
Exactly. That wasn't some blurry pap photo or a vague comment. She's on live TV joking about her fiancé, Jonathan Davino, being supportive.
And the camera deliberately cuts to Glen Powell in the audience. Like, come on, that's not accidental. That's produced. That's broadcast. That is literally the definition of leaning in.
Which brings us to what you could call the producer paradox. Because Sweeney wasn't just the star of Anyone But You. She was also a producer through her company, 50/50 Films.
Right, and that changes things. An actor might be able to claim they were just, caught up in the PR machine. But a producer, they're part of the machine.
That's the weak spot in her denial, isn't it? She herself told The Hollywood Reporter how involved she was. I was on every call. I was probably keeping everybody over at Sony Marketing and Distribution awake at night because I couldn't stop with ideas.
You can't really say that and then claim the press did it themselves. It just doesn't track. So this October denial feels very much like a strategic move away from that accountable producer role back to the safer actor persona.
It's a jarring difference when you think about it. Okay, so the producer role makes her more accountable.
Yeah.
But why the big pushback, specifically in October 2025? What was the trigger?
The trigger was real human collateral damage becoming very public. For like a year, the Fauxmance was sold as this fun, flirty game, but that narrative really fell apart in June 2025.
Right, because of Glen Powell's ex-girlfriend, Gigi Paris.
Exactly. Her testimony, I think it was on the Too Much podcast, just completely changed the conversation. She talked about being shattered, feeling like she was just fed to the dogs.
Yeah, that was rough to hear. And she didn't hold back, calling it a PR scheme that was put ahead of their actual relationship.
And her main point, the core of her pain, seemed to be Powell's silence. It wasn't just the rumors themselves, but his refusal to defend her, even minimally.
She said the bare minimum is having your partner's back, just denying the cheating.
Yeah.
And he never once did that.
Yeah. So the Gigi Paris problem, as you could call it, suddenly made the whole thing look less like smart marketing and more like kind of cruel and cynical, with a real victim.
And for Sweeney, who's building this brand around female empowerment, being linked to a scheme that resulted in another woman feeling fed to the dogs, that's a huge brand liability. It had to be dealt with.
And when Powell finally responded in GQ in September 2025, it was polished, very PR handled.
What did he say again?
He gave the Standard nothing but love and respect for her, but then used that classic deflection tactic. Everybody's always going to have their own narrative. When two people break up, they each go to their own brunch and they will each tell their own narrative.
Everyone has their own truth defense. It kind of minimizes her experience by just labeling it her narrative.
Pretty much. And then you have the personal cost on Sweeney's side, too. People forget this whole campaign was happening around the time she quietly split from her fiancé and producing partner, Jonathan Davino, back in January 2025.
Oh, man, the irony there is just, wow. Davino was also a producer on the film, so he was likely in on the strategy from a business angle.
And yet he becomes the punchline in that SNL skit. It shows how a strategy cooked up in a boardroom can become really messy and untenable in real life.
So despite all this fallout, the rumor mill started up again in spring 2025, right? After Sweeney went public about being single in May.
Yeah, suddenly the forbidden angle was gone. And literally days after that news broke, where was Sweeney?
Attending Glen Powell's sister's wedding with him in Dallas. The timing was noticeable.
And Powell was still playing the game. On the Today Show, asked about the new rumors now that they were both single, he gives this coy non-denial. Timing is everything in this world.
Ugh. So he was keeping it alive. Which makes Sweeney's big October denial even more significant. It was like she had to slam the brakes on his continued leaning in.
Okay, so let's pull it all together. Why the big denial in October? What are the core reasons?
Seems like three main things. First, brand protection, like you said. Gigi Paris made the old strategy look bad, especially for Sweeney's image. She had to distance herself.
Right. Second, the actor pivot. She needed to shift away from the calculating producer persona and back to the more relatable actor persona, blaming the media to seem less involved in the cynical side. It protects her personal brand.
And third, probably the biggest driver, sequel laundering.
Absolutely. This denial, even if it feels a bit shaky factually, wipes the slate clean. It creates a new, less toxic marketing angle for anyone but you two. Now they can sell it as powerful platonic chemistry instead of that messy secret affair narrative that almost blew up.
It basically resets the stage so they can potentially make another $100 million with the franchise.
So this whole coordinated denial, it's really a calculated move to manage a PR crisis. It provides a, let's say, functional alternative story for the public, protects the star, and most importantly, keeps the sequel money train on the tracks.
So the question for you, listening right now, is when you see this stuff play out, are you really seeing sparks fly? Or are you just watching a really well-executed, multi-million-dollar marketing plan unfold? Does the success justify the means if it leads to a sequel everyone wants?
It makes you think about what's real and what's manufactured in celebrity culture today, especially when there's that much money on the line.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.